So we're here to solve this double Minesweeper by Serkan called Wheel. The theme is tied to concentric circles, and a lot of the solve is going to be based on actually the adjacencies that come through with this pattern, particularly where we've got clues that have different values. And here's sort of how to think through them. We'll see them come up time and time again in the puzzle. A clue like this 4 that's next to a 3 needs to see more mines than the 3 clue sees. And where they shared 2 of these cells, there's a single cell the 4 sees that the 3 doesn't, and that's this cell, and this means it has to have at least 1 mine here. And that could put 3 mines into this space. In a double Minesweeper, this could actually technically take two mines, and that means that there would be 1 mine here. But this cell and that cell, basically the difference of what the 4 and 3 clues see, leads to a tension where this cell below the 4 will always have another mine, 1 or 2, and 1 more mine than that cell. And this is true in other parts of the grid, like around this 4, 3, there's got to be a mine up top, so the 4 gets to an effective value of 3 near 3. They could share the same 3 here, that'd be fine. This 3-4 pair means there's got to be more mines below that the 4 sees and the 3 doesn't, because it's not just in these cells. And key starting point with that kind of thinking is actually the 3-5. This is the largest difference that's in the grid, the start of the puzzle, and a clue spot that's pretty prime for some logic. So you need to get 2 more mines around this 5. There's only 1 cell it sees that this 3 clue doesn't, so this has to be a 2. And what I'm going to do is actually turn my tab feature so I can start to shade in cells. One thing that's helpful in double Minesweeper is knowing for sure when you finished a cell, and a 2 is an obvious place you finished. Even an empty cell that you mark with an X is an obvious place to finish. But we're going to run into cases where, for instance, as we take this one more step forward, as the 4 completes and then the 3 is complete, we're going to get some cases where we've got cells with a single mine, but we know for sure they're always going to stay with a single mine. And so this cell in green with 1 mine is different than the cell in white. This is a 1 or 2. This is absolutely a 1, and so that will help us in thinking through the next steps here. One of the things to recognize as I say that is that now as we've marked these in, we have some places where we've now made an effective clue have a different value. So this 5 is now really actually a 2. Everything we've marked in green has accounted for 3 of these mines. So this is a 2, this is a 3 that's diagonally adjacent, and this 3 needs to see another mine than the 2 sees. And so here again, small value, big value, put mines away from the bigger value. And in this puzzle, there are a lot of these choke points where there's only really 1 cell for those bigger values to take. So we're going to catch up with what that means in a second, particularly as we work into this corner. But there's another starting point I haven't marked in yet, and this may have been the first place people got to in this puzzle. Here's a 6 that needs 6 mines around it. It's got 3 white cells. 3 times 2 is a maximum of 6. And so this starts right away as something you can fill in just through that observation. The 5 needs 1 more mine. Now that this is set and known for sure, the 4 needs 1 more mine, and then the 3 will need 1 more mine. And so these are all good placements. The thing that's key to sort of break in, and I think we're going to get this right side of the grid first, is looking at every time we've now marked in mines in green, coming back and looking at the effective sums of values that are left. So this 6 on the left has 5 mines accounted for, so this is now a 1. And the 6 on the right has 4 mines, and so this is now a 2. So we now effectively have a 1, 2, which means we now have a difference in these clues in the grid, which means in this single cell that's not shared between the 2 6s, but unique to the 6, there must be at least 1 more mine. And that doesn't resolve any more around this clue, but it now puts a mine in the neighborhood of this 5 that's not in the neighborhood of this 4. And so if you look right now in this puzzle, this 5 is equal to a 1, 4 mines around, so 1 mine left. This 4 is equal to a 3. And a 1-3 split needs us to put 2 mines away from that to now have both of these be effectively a 1. The last mine for the set is going to be in these cells, and we know for sure at this moment this is done, and we've put in 2 in a cell. And every time you put 2 in a cell, that's done. As we look through the clues around it, this 3 has 3 mines towards it, so these are all known for sure. This becomes a double. These clues are now all finished. This is an empty cell. This 3 gets 2 mines here. That finishes the 3 as well as the 5 clue. The 6 is going to get 3 mines in here. A 3 mine situation in 2 cells will always have a single and then like 1 more mine in this space. So this is a way you can mark that if you run into that pattern. As we mark this in, we'll see we have now 6 mines around this clue. So the top option is where that has to go. As we fulfill this, fulfill these. This 5 now means this is empty. The 7 has 1 more mine to see, so we finish that out. We've now, by putting in this mine, have the same tension we had when you put a mine in the opposite corner. This 5 is now effectively a 1. This 3 is a 2. But when you put 1 mine in and that now completes it, there's 1 last mine to go here, but the cell is empty. As we now work through what remains, what's probably going to come out is we just have to track other clues we've done. So we actually also finished the 6. In finishing that 6, we now have a case where like this 4 needs one more clue. This 3 on its own is going to need to get 3 total mines, and this is 1, 2 mines. This is a third mine. And putting that in, we complete the 6, which means this mine moves up. That finishes these clues, makes this empty, and the last mine here will finish the puzzle. So set of different ways to jump between tactics, certainly jump between clues. I think the things I was trying to get through in the solve were 2 key observations or tricks. First, mark the known 1s and 2s in the grid in a clean way. When you've got a space where you've now marked off a set of those in a shared background, look in the neighborhood of any clues that are touching and see where you now have an effective count that's quite different, either 1 apart or 2 apart, or what we were seeing in this grid. Like when we had a 1 and a 3 as the effective values here in this lower right corner, we could quickly place remaining mines, or that had worked into other clues we'd done before. After we placed these 3 together, we really had fulfilled this whole column, and that came from a good observation from the top and this really strong observation from below. But there's nothing in the start of the puzzle that puts too many mines around these clues. So that's the way to work through this grid. Hopefully you got something through this video and some tips for the other double Minesweepers that are on the site. We'll see you again soon.